And our rituals presenting patrons for today, Susie is doing Hestia, Kitty is doing the Divine Twins, and Barbara is doing Athena. So I would ask, what?
With help.
With help, yes, with help, with strategic help. So I would ask you at this time to silence your beepy things and ideally put it on something that does not eat the internet. So that way we maintain as much bandwidth as we can in this room so that we can transmit out. For our chalice lighting today, it's adapted. It is a our chalice lighting is adapted from The Sacred Space by Cheryl Block. We were going to be doing this call and response. The response part is in the sacred space. So I cannot memorize worth anything right now. So we gather together in this sacred space. Let us be still in the quiet.
In this sacred space.
Let our hearts open as a butter. May the glow of this light shine within us.
In this sacred space.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
So, welcome to the second week of Gaia Community's Patron Selection Festival. We've been doing this since, as previously mentioned, 2003, when we first learned the ancient Egyptian practice of temples vying with each other for the deity, for which deity to become the patron deity of that city for that year. It was primarily dependent back then on who could raise the most resources so they could then feed the needy, clothe the needy, do all the basically structure that needed to happen in a city. And, you know, when we started doing that, we of course also raised money and food for harvesters in a very similar vein. But as discussed previously, that kind of went, who got elected became very much who had the most money. And we realized that spiritually, that was not where we wanted to be. So eventually we moved to a model based off of ranked choice voting. So we're recording this, and at the end of this ritual, we will shortly have all 6 of these presentations up online and some form of ranked choice voting available, and we will decide our patron based off of those. And our ritual today will begin with a grounding, followed by a journey to co-create the temple of many powers in our space. We will then visit the temples of today's 3 patron candidates, and hear their presentations. And afterwards, there will be time to ask questions. After listening to their advocates, we'll return to our present space and conclude with announcements and offering and our standard closing. But first, I have forgotten to welcome the fool. I've done something very foolish. Hail.
Hail. While you do that, I'm going to get something I decided I want.
Let us all be conscious of the path that we have walked this year. The path that at times has been foolish, the times that we think we've known where we're going, and then we have found out this has been a new place after all. And with that, the Fool has been our guide. And while their time is not yet over, we see maybe the end of the path for the Fool, for us, for the moment. Welcome, Fool.
Well,
Now, I'm jumping ahead. Okay. Before we travel to the Temple of All Powers, where all these beings dwell, I invite you to take this time to check in with yourself. Begin with a deep breath. And as you continue breathing slowly and deeply, I want you to consider the following things. How do you feel today? What values are important to you right now? What are you seeking in matters of spiritual kinship? What needs do you seek to have fulfilled by this community? Which values and works put forward by powers do you think will best help Gaia Community become a place that will serve those needs? As you consider these points, know that your needs are valued. And this selection process has as its goal the meeting of the most spiritual needs of the most members. The selection process will in no way require any member or attendee to adopt a personal patron relationship with any of the powers introduced or selected. As with all our rights, you are invited to participate at the level that you are comfortable with. Keeping your stewardship of self and belief in the good of others forward in your mind, I invite you to settle into a comfortable position. Temples, you may do what you need to do to prepare your space. I invite you all to focus on the flame in the chalice. Breathe deeply and watch that single point of light as it moves and dances. Let it grow, filling all of your attention, becoming the single most important thing. Let it burn away any distractions or concerns, brightening and filling your awareness. Let yourself begin to sense the sacredness of the space around you, the inherent sacredness of all space upon this earth. In this space, we will build a temple of our thoughts, our intentions, our imaginings, and will. We will construct around us the temple of many powers, a place that you may have visited before, or maybe visiting today for the first time. Allow your inner eye to see this temple taking shape around us. Allow your inner ear to hear its sounds. We are building this temple together. You are invited to share your visions with the group. And we ask that when someone calls out some truth about this temple that we are building together, that you weave that into your own visualization, strengthening the space around us. What do you see when you look at this temple that we are building around us?
I see a pool in the center of clear water.
Marble columns.
Notice its architecture, the materials of its construction, its layout, its color. What is here inside the temple?
See blocks of stone stacked, built closely together with great skill, with a lot of different rooms inside and a large central room.
Stained glass windows that let in light.
What other details do you notice?
Tapestries and rugs.
Tall ceilings that seem to disappear into the sky.
Large statues with space for worshiping them.
Cushion spaces near the statues where whole families can learn to meditate together and worship together.
What expressions of artistry move you?
Art, vibrant color.
Draperies.
Strains of music.
Flowers and candles.
What do you see that lets you know in your heart of hearts that this is a sacred space?
Images of deities.
The scale of those images from the massive all the way down to tiny little ones that could be in your hand.
Wafts of incense.
Chimes.
What do you see that tells you that there is power here? There is magic here, that the divine is with us.
Many people.
Light from unknown source.
What do you hear inside this temple?
bells. You were from little tiny tinklings to great booming bells.
Singing.
What other sounds come to you?
Laughter.
Trickling water.
What music? What devotions do you hear?
Songs of joy, songs of sadness, songs of comfort.
Whispers of thank you, and I will.
What do you hear that lets you know that others are with you in this place in fellowship?
Soft voices, welcoming.
Chants and refrains in response.
Footsteps.
What do you hear? Maybe even in your own third inner ear that tells you this place is holy.
Voices of the gods.
Sort of resonance that might be the whole universe.
What do you feel when you are standing inside this temple?
Awe,
Peacefulness.
Feeling enfolded in love.
Let these images shape you today. And know that by this shared construction, we establish our sacred space, our place of power and protection, our connection to the many worlds and ways of worship. Blessed be.
Blessed be.
It is now that we come to our first temple, the power of Hestia.
Hestia, in the high dwellings of all, both deathless gods and men who walk the earth, you have gained an everlasting abode, highest honor. Glorious is your portion and your right. For without you, mortals hold no banquet. Where one does not pour sweet wine in offering to Hestia, both first and last. Slayer of Argus, son of Zeus and Maia, the blessed gods, the giver of good. Be favorable and help us, you and Hestia, the worshipful and dear. Come in this glorious house in friendship together. For you too, well knowing the noble actions of men, aid on their wisdom and their strength. Hail, daughter of Kronos, and you also, Hermes, bearer of the golden rod. I represent Hestia today, and I pour oil in her honor, sweet oil. I light incense in her honor. and I light her chalice. Which was the beginning of all chalices, and even became the symbol for the Olympics. In representing Hestia today, the more I learned about her, the more excited I became, and the more I believe that she is astoundingly pertinent to our current circumstances in this country and in the world. As a matter of full disclosure, I will be mostly reading this because my neurodivergent quirk can cause me to go blank and forget what I mean to say. I acknowledge my anxiety and my dyslexia not as things of which to be ashamed, but as part of who I am, which makes me care so deeply and makes me the person that I am today. Hestia is the Greek goddess of the hearth and the home of the sacrificial flame. She's the eldest daughter of the Titans Kronos and Rhea, and one of the 12 Olympians. Despite her high status, she has little prominence in Greek mythology. Hestia chose never to marry and to remain an eternal virgin goddess instead, forever tending the hearth of Olympus. Both Poseidon, her brother, and Apollo, her nephew, fell in love with Hestia and vied for her hand in marriage. But she would have neither of them, and swore a great oath before Zeus that she would remain virginal for all time and never marry. As the goddess of the sacrificial fire, Hestia receives first offering at every domestic function, and the hearth of every of the Prytaneum functions as her official sanctuary. In classical Greek art, she's occasionally depicted as a woman simply and modestly cloaked. Sometimes she's shown with a staff in hand or seated on a plain wooden throne with a woolen cushion by a large fire. Her sacrificial animals are donkeys and pigs. The worship of Hestia is centered around the hearth, both domestic and civic. Her very name means hearth, and her symbol is a chalice, as we have lit here. The hearth is associated with warmth, food preparation, hospitality, and the completion of sacrificial offerings to deities. At feasts, Hestia was often offered the first and last libations of wine. Although evidence of her dedicant priesthood is extremely rare, every private and public hearth was regarded as a sanctuary of the goddess. But temples of her own and legions of dedicants? Not so much. It's interesting that the plural of hearth is both singular and plural. In one sense, she is the Greek Martha Stewart, the hostess who has it all together, the perfect event planner, the impeccable wine pairing for the spectacular event, the hostess with the mostess, whose party everyone would kill to get an invitation to. The social event of the season. That's the upside. But what about the other side of the proverbial coin? Always first and always. You realize what that means, right? You notice that in the prayer with which we began, it's not even just hers, it's shared with Hermes. Hestia's the stay-at-home and get stuff done person. Hermes is the fly around and get stuff done person. But she's also the one who shows up first. Fire, unlock the door, check the thermostat, start the coffee pot, put out the snacks before the meeting of the bigwigs. The domestic one who cleans up after the party. The one who puts everything away, sweeps up, wipes off the table, puts the remaining goodies in the fridge, refills the toilet paper roll after everyone's used. The last one out the door is not necessarily much of an honor, any more than being the first one is. But somebody's got to do it. It's not very exciting or flashy or dramatic. Hestia isn't exactly the customary heroic stuff of myth. She's as depicted as being above the typical infighting of the other Olympians, dedicated to nurturing and sheltering and providing, of preferring peace. But just try to have any gathering, feast, or festival, or any community event with that person who sees to the stuff that nobody in the community thinks of, but they'd notice if it didn't get done. Hestia stands for those things, and those who do not have all the things that they need. Hestia stands for the office manager, the service coordinator, the custodian, the housekeeper, the teacher, the mom, the grocery stocker, the waitress, the lawn guy, the painter, the carpenter, the sanitation engineer, the minimum wage person, the immigrant, the single mom or dad, the gay kid working fast food double shifts, the older person with no safety net who keeps working 2 jobs because they must in order to survive, the trans kid who wants to just get along and survive. But more than this, Hestia is the one who stands for sanctuary. The notion of being safe and sheltered, protected from ill treatment and harm. It's an offense to Hestia to refuse hospitality to a stranger. She is the goddess protecting immigrants and all those who are in danger of persecution. It's considered sacrilegious to drag anyone away from an altar. And since the hearth basically is the goddess, fireplace and altar all in one, it's the ultimate safe space. Her companion animals are the donkey and the pig, and not the cute little pocket pig, the great big sow that you really do not want to mess with. The donkey is patient and hardworking, but smart, cunning, and stubborn. Just try to outstubborn a mule. She doesn't have the bunny or the sheep, oh no. Because preferring peace does not mean that she can't or won't deliver an ass whooping if necessary in order to enforce and preserve sanctuary. Historically, she was worshipped by everyone, regardless of social standing, whether it was an average person dedicating food at the hearth or those in charge of the civic hall, organizing the transferal of the flame from the Prytaneum to a new house. Or everyone needs warmth and acceptance. Now, what will Hestia expect of us as a community? She expects doing, not just talking. Boots on the ground, clarity, honesty, dedication. Serious consideration of what our focus is, what our goals are, and how we intend to bring them to reality. She expects our collective hearts to feel deeply about social justice, sanctuary, hospitality, and caring about the earth and each other because our lives depend on it. Are we consistent? Do we mean what we say? What are we going to do about it? What will she offer us? Unending loving kindness, lots of fun, relaxing get-togethers, great food and drink and hospitality, hard work, doing things together, with lots of laughter along with the boots on the ground, and the support of those who need it most. The fire from the sky is here. The fire from the waters is here. The fire from the land is here. From below, from about, from above, Fire has come here to my hearth. Burn there, O holy Hestia, you who tend the shrines for both home and state, Queen of sanctity, you who bring fire to the sacred altars of the mysterious ones. Guide us in tending our own sacred fire, both in this sanctuary and out in the world. At the end of this, I will have tea. This is peach and blood orange and cranberry flavored. It's very good. I tested it. Because, of course, you have to test your tech. And herb bread that I baked this morning. It is gluten-free. And I have napkins. It is very crumbly. But I also tested that tech. But we will wait until the rest of them are done. I also have butter here if you wish to put on the bread. The reason I chose Hestia was because she stands for what we do anyway. But to focus our attention on hospitality and sanctuary, not for the whole world or just for the community, but for each other. Thank you.
Thank you. So the Temple of the Divine Twins, I'll be your tour guide today. We are multicultural and a multi-temporal temple, honoring divine and hero twins from many times and many places. Their stories reach deep into time and have many threads, and we'll begin with one of them. That's just stay together. Yeah, it's it's not going to stay lit. So, so 6,000 years ago, on the Pontic Caspian steppe of Eastern Europe, located in modern day Ukraine and southern Russia, so here, a Proto-Indo-European people honored the all-seeing sky father, Vater, and his consort, the earth goddess, Tjakham. And from these two came the divine twins, the horse twins. Names are lost to time, but we can recognize their depiction as young men riding horses, or sometimes as the horses themselves. Their most frequent in liturgic and poetic traditions are the youthful and the descendants. They and their horses pulled the sun across the sky, and at night, the horses and the sun returned to the east in a golden boat, traverse the sea to bring back the sun each morning. So during the day, they crossed the sky in pursuit of their consort, the divine twins also had a sister, Hausos, goddess of the dawn. And stories say that the twins rescued the dawn from a watery peril in one adventure. We find these gods and their stories in cultures that descended in time and space from the Proto-Indo-European root. So all the red yarn are different divine twins that archaeologists, linguists, ethnologists believe are related to this Proto-Indo-European root. So we see them in the Germanic twins Alcis, meaning sacred space or protection, the Hellenic Dioscuri, the sons of God, which refer to the twins Castor and Pollux, the Vedic Ashvins, so in India over here, horse tamers or possessor of horses, the Lithuanian Asviniai, which is a cognate of Asvin, and the Latvian Dievadeli, which again means sons of God, among others. So the two brothers are often differentiated. One is represented as a physically strong and aggressive warrior, while the other is seen as a healer who gives attention to domestic duties, agrarian pursuits, or romantic adventures. The most prevalent functions associated with the twins in later myths are magic healers and physicians, sailors and saviors at sea, warriors and providers of divine aid in battle, controllers of the weather and keepers of the wind, assistants at birth with connection to fertility, divinities of dance, protectors of the oath, and founders of cities. So a wide range of responsibilities. So the Vedic references of the gods predate the earliest classical Homeric writings by about 1,000 years. The Rig Veda, the oldest of the sacred books of Hinduism, composed in an ancient form of Sanskrit about 1500 before the Common Era, in what now is the Punjab region of India and Pakistan. So here, contains the earliest and most detailed evidence of the twin gods, the Ashvins. They're considered the brothers of Usha, the goddess of dawn. So you can see the same things. And they represent twilight as darkness and light appear in horizon just before dawn, as well as before dusk. In the Vedic twins, the divine twins are among the most popular of gods. In India, they helped Indra, their uncle, to get soma, which is a Vedic ritual drink that I think has some interesting properties. From Savastar, the sky father and the firstborn creator of the universe, suggesting that they were very important in the pantheon. The Ashvins are often pictured as divine horsemen. This would be them right here, if you can see that picture, and are referred to 400 times in 50 out of the 1,028 hymns of the Rig Veda. Perhaps the most familiar us are the Dioscuri, the Greco-Roman twins Castor and Pollux. Their mother was Leda, queen of Sparta, but they had different fathers. Castor was the mortal son of Tyndareus, the king of Sparta, while Pollux was the divine son of Zeus, who seduced Leda in the guise of a swan. And though accounts of their birth are varied, they're sometimes said to have been born from an egg, along with their twin sisters, Helen of Troy and Clytemnestra. Both Dioscuri were excellent horsemen and hunters who participated in the Caledonian War and later joined the crew of Jason's ship, the Argo. So they were some of the Argonauts. The Dioscuri were regarded as helpers of mankind and held to be patrons of travelers and sailors in particular, who invoked them to seek favorable winds. Sirs also led them to be regarded as patrons of athletes and of athletic contests. They characteristically intervened at the moment of crisis, aiding those who honored or trusted them. So I don't know if you had to wait till that moment or they were there for people who were desperate. When Castor was mortally wounded, Pollux was given the choice by Zeus of spending all his time on Mount Olympus or giving half his immortality to his mortal brother. So he chose to give half of his immortality to Castor, enabling the twins to alternate between Olympus and Hades. And the brothers became the two brightest stars in the constellation Gemini, which means the twins. Castor is Alpha Geminorum and Pollux is Beta Geminorum. And as emblems of immortality and death, the Dioscuri, like Heracles, were said to have been initiated into the Eleusinian mysteries. And in some myths, Poseidon rewarded them with horses to ride and power to aid shipwrecked men. So I have this image of Poseidon's horses with Castor and Pollux riding them out to help the sailors whose ship is floundering on the rocks. So now let's jump all the way across the Atlantic to the Americas. The hero twins, or God boys, are recurring characters in the mythologies of indigenous people of the Americas. And the specifics of each myth vary from tribe to tribe, but each story has a pair of twins, usually with magical powers, who were born when their pregnant mother was killed by the tale's antagonist. Sometimes the twins are separated at birth, and various versions have their mothers killed, leaving one where he could be found by his family, and the other deep in the wilderness, so that one boy grew up civilized and the other wild. And eventually they become reunited and avenge the death of their mother. In some traditions, the twins personify good and evil. One twin is good while the other is evil, but in others, both are benevolent heroes. In some versions of this myth, the evil twin manipulates others into blaming his good brother for his misdeeds. The two brothers coexisted for a while, each making their own changes to the world, and in the end, though, the twin gods fight each other and the good brother prevails. Now, in other traditions, the twin gods are not considered good or evil, but instead represent day and night, summer and winter, and life and death. And in some versions of that tradition, one is a trickster rather than a villain. And the brothers' relationship is one of rivalry rather than enmity. In the creation myth of the Navajo, called the Dine Bahan, the hero twins Monster Slayer and Born for Water, both sons of Changing Woman, work together, and they acquire lightning bolt arrows from their father, the sun, in order to rid the world of monsters that prey upon the people. Heading farther south, we find the Maya hero twins. These twins are the central figures of a narrative that is included with the colonial document called the Popol Vuh. And the narrative consists of the oldest Mayan myth to have been preserved in its entirety, which, that's kind of a rare thing. The twins are called Hunupu and Xibalanque in the Quiche language and have been identified in the art of classic Mayans, which would be around 200 to 900 AD. So the background story of these twins is a little complicated. So here it is. So Blood Moon is the daughter of Blood Gatherer, who's one of the lords of the underworld. And when she passes by a tree, hanging on it is the head of Hunapu, who, with his brother, has just been executed by other lords of the underworld after they lost a ball game. But the head speaks to her and then impregnates her with his spittle. Her father finds out that she's pregnant and convenes with One Death and Seven Death. These are the two lords of the underworld that killed Hunupu and his brother. And they decide that if Blood Moon is not willing to tell them who the father is, she should be killed. Blood Moon truthfully answers that she's not slept with anyone, which is taken as a lie because she's visibly pregnant. And thus they order their owl messengers to kill her and bring back her heart as proof. Well, Blood Moon tells the owls the truth, and they agree to spare her. They are wise. They create a faux heart out of red tree sap, which they bring back to the lords of the underworld. And at the same time, they show her to the world above. And there she eventually receives some help and gives birth to the children, Hunupu and Jibalke. And the sons, or the twins, grow up to avenge their father, and after many trials, they finally defeat the lords of the underworld in a ball game. And as you probably know, the ball game in Mayan is really important. The Popal View features other episodes involving these twins as well, including the destruction of a pretentious bird demon and of his two demonic sons. And the twins also turned their half brothers into howler monkey gods, who were the patrons of artists and here we've got the sports versus arts complex back in Mayan society, you know? And the twins were finally transformed into the sun and moon, signaling the beginning of a new age. There's lots more stories about these two twins. Let's keep moving around the globe. And now we are heading to Korea, to the island of Jeju, where divine twins appear in a creation narrative that to this day shamans continue to sing in a ritual context. In Jeju, the celestial deity Cheongwang descends to earth after creation and impregnates an earthly woman. She gives birth to the twin boys, Daebulwang and Silbulwang, who ascend to heaven. The two gods engage in 3 contests to decide who will rule the human world. And the final challenge is a flower growing contest, in which the god who grows the better flower will take charge of humanity. Well, the benevolent god, Daebul Wang, grows the better flower, but his brother, Sobul Wang, steals it while he sleeps. And having won this final contest, the usurper takes control of the world, and his unjust victory is the source of all the evil and the suffering in the present world. And the world of the living under the duplicitous Sobol Wang's rule is full of evil. But Dable Wang goes to the world of the dead and often establishes justice there. In another episode, there are originally 2 suns and 2 moons, making the world unbearably hot during the day and intolerably cold at night. And when the twins ascend to heaven, they destroy one of each, and thus making the world livable for humans. Okay, so we're returning now to Europe, to 2 twin deities who make and made the world a better place for humans, and that's Freyr and Freya. And originally they were Vanir, but they're living with the Aesir, are far and away the most well-known, well-loved, and powerful of any twins in Norse mythology. And they are the son and daughter of the god Njord? Njord and his sister wife. The gods gave Freyr the realm of the elves as a teething present, and he rides the shining dwarf maid boar and possesses a ship which always has a favorable breeze and can be folded together and carried in a pouch used. How convenient. Freyr is also known to have been associated with the horse cult, and he also kept sacred horses in his sanctuary at Trondheim in Norway. So whether Freyr and Freya aren't exactly in the divine twins link, but there's still connections there. So we have seas and horses. Freya is the goddess associated with love, beauty, fertility, sex, war, gold, and seer? Magic? Sather, thank you. For seeing and influencing the future. She's the owner of the necklace Bringsingamen, rides a chariot pulled by 2 cats, is accompanied by a boar, and possesses a cloak of falcon. She rules over her heavenly field, Folkvanger, where she receives die in battle, and within Folkvanger lies her hall, Sesrumnir, and she assists other deities in allowing them to use her feathered cloak and is invoked in matters of fertility and love. So symbols of fertility, love, sunlight, and peace, Freyr and Freyr brought prosperity and balance to the 9 worlds. So the last twins I have hardly any time to talk about on our brief world tour today are Apollo and Artemis. And I'm not going to light their candles because I don't think they're stay lit, but after this I'll try. The Olympians Artemis and Apollo are the children of Leto and Zeus. Leto was a Titan goddess primarily worshipped by representing matrons. She was also a divine protector of the young and is often associated with the wilderness and wolves, associations which she passed on to her daughter Artemis. Zeus, the king of the Greek gods, fell in love with Leto's beauty, But when Hera, Zeus's wife, discovered the affair between Leto and Zeus, she vowed that Leto would never be allowed to give birth on land. Well, when Leto was ready to give birth, Hera's curse caused all the lands to reject Leto. And finally, in one version of the story, Poseidon, the god of the sea, pitied Leto, and in an effort to help her, he raised an island from the depths of the sea. So Leto gave birth on land that had not been cursed. And this new island, Delos, was deemed disconnected from the ocean floor and so was completely afloat. In Greek mythology, Apollo and Artemis each had dominion over different parts of the cycle of day and night. Apollo was given responsibility for raising the sun each day across the sky from east to west. His sister Artemis represents the moon, which she drew across the sky throughout the night. As such, Apollo became associated with golden light and Artemis with silver light. And overall, Artemis and Apollo worked in tandem to bring light to the world in myth. Artemis is the Olympian goddess of hunting, the wilderness, and wild animals. She's also a goddess of childbirth and the protectress of the girl child up to the age of marriage. Her twin brother Apollo is similarly the protector of boy children. In ancient art, Artemis was usually depicted as a girl or young woman, maiden with a hunting bow and a quiver of arrows. She's a goddess who's inviolate and vigorous, and she grants strength and health to others. Apollo's the Olympian god of prophecy and oracles, music, song, and poetry, archery, healing, plague, and disease, and the protection of the young. He was depicted as a handsome, beardless youth with long hair and attributes and branch of laurel, bow and quiver of arrows, raven and lyre. So one point on which the divine twins differed was their lifestyles. While Artemis vowed to be a virgin huntress for eternity, Apollo enjoyed the attentions of men and women alike, and in this, the twins were very adamant. So, really quick, why might Gaia Community want the Divine Twins as our patrons for the coming year? Well, selecting the Divine Twins opens up a whole world of stories and deities from different cultures. And they offer a structure for exploring a diversity of themes that interest us from around the world. Light and darkness, sun and moon, arts, culture, and the wilds, fertility, love and sunlight, and peace and prosperity and beauty, or help in tough situations, athleticism, or being able to take on the lords of the dead and win, exploring the stories of the Rig Veda. So there's just this broad range of deities and stories we can work with, and they offer a smorgasbord of skills and protection that cover most areas of life. What would they want from Gaia Community? Well, the Divine Twins would encourage you to explore among all these cultures and not limit yourself or focus to just one or two pairs. And in terms of social justice, you could consider something horse related, such as Heartland therapeutic riding or horses and heroes, and other possibilities might be related to children, wildlife, or the arts. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Temple of Divine Twins. We now turn our attention to the Temple of Athena.
Hi.
Hi.
The Athena temple, I'm assuming it's obviously not the Parthenon, but
Yes, this is her office.
all
Here?
right. Wow. And I see Athena for patron sign. In fact, I am looking for a patron for like-minded people. We're looking for inspiration for the year to come.
Well, Athena is a goddess for all ages, all places, all time. I think her message is needed now more than ever. Athena excels at questionable times, and I think we are in questionable times right now. She provides strength in purpose for all causes that are just. As inspiration for your group, she brings structure to chaotic reality, which certainly describes the confusion of these current times. She leads with wisdom to see that equity balances experience for all people.
Let me check my notes. I've read that Athena was a judge and was the patron of Athens, as well as several other city-states in ancient Greece. What can Athena do for the modern world?
Well, you're right that she served as a judge in trials, and as such, she often set the rules of jurisprudence. She would certainly encourage people today to support the courts, respect their judgments, and follow laws. Remember also, Athena stepped in when Heracles had gone insane, intervened so that damage could be controlled and problems handled. The modern world direly needs powers that will see the danger of mental illness and intervene to do damage control. To the extent that you are engaged in a kind of war, a power who represents the virtues of intelligence, justice, and civil behavior can be invaluable. She encourages the rule of law as expressed in your Constitution.
So she's a patron for Democrats?
I think Athena inspires all who strive for freedom for all using a democratic method, which can encompass many political ideologies.
I hear also that snakes are sacred to Athena as well as owls. It seems everyone knows about the owl, but snakes are also, um, and we know why the owl, because owls are wise, and but why a snake?
Well, first of all, owls are wise because Athena had owls. And snakes, the sacred snakes, they emerge from Gaia and they bring the wisdom, the innate wisdom of the earth and all of the gods as well. Remember, although there's many different stories about how Athena came to be, they all say she was born from the head of Zeus. She embodies the very wisdom of the gods in all forms.
I heard once that Athena was a patron of Kansas City.
Yes. In 1886, the city was dedicated to Pallas Athena with the promise she would watch over the city's youth if she was paid homage once a year with a grand parade and sometimes a ball. The priests of Pallas kept it up from 1886 to 1912. Pretty good run. The parade did return again from 1922 to 1924, but it did not have that same energy, became embroiled in controversy and disappeared from Kansas City. But yes, she was here. She's been here before.
And Athena was also the patron of Gaia Community in 2011, 2012. And that was when we moved from the original Smooch to our location on Troost that we were at for years, our Ubuntu Village. Her patronship inspired us at the time to be in a place of democratic consensus process of moving to the space. And we felt that then, but how can she help now?
Indeed, indeed, that was some excellent democratic method, and Athena's proud of her time with you, I've heard. I understand also at the time the community was inspired to understand opposition through the lens of the story of the olive branch, a symbol today of peace and cooperation. And I want to remind you that Athena gifted to Athens the olive tree, to Athens and hence to the entire world, the olive tree, which brings oil, wood, and fruit. As a matter of fact, I have some olives right here if you'd like some. If y'all would like some later in the afternoon, we have some olives. Athena's approach to justice is equity and balance.
So what does modern worship look like? What would be expected of Gaia community?
Well, if they chose Athena, they need to be willing to work for democracy, for equity, for fairness. This can take many forms, particularly at this time. It could be marching and rallying, calling representatives about issues. It could be serving jury duty. It could be volunteering for just causes such as women's shelters. It could be voting. It certainly includes voting. People would need to be willing to show up for all people and name oppressors and oppressions, shining a light on injustice. They should respect themselves and the rules of society. They may be willing to put themselves at risk in these causes, but they need to do it a smart way. Bring strategy into all activities. To worship Athena, you must start with the willingness to act morally. Right thought, right action. Athena highly values integrity. So remaining true to one's values, keeping one's word would be absolutely essential in worshiping Athena. Personally, I've taken an oath to Athena. My oath: I will never bring disgrace on this our country by an act of dishonesty or cowardice. I will fight for the ideals and sacred things of this country, both alone and with many. E pluribus unum.
Well, I'm convinced that Athena should be our patron.
Well, thank you for coming in. I was so glad to have a chance to talk to you today.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Temple Athena. It is at this point that I notice we have some hospitality. If people would like to come up and sample that and formulate your questions, and then we will have about 20 minutes of, we will have space for about 20 minutes of questions. Yeah.
Me too.
I am happy to share an image of Athena's house. Anyone would like?
if you are joining us online, now might be a good time to enter your questions into the chat so we can have them queued up.
Very friendly.
Probably felt well.
Yeah. She's pleased, so it's clarified. There's like 8 too.
Yes.
Thank you, thank
Double
you.
brown there.
Oh, yeah.
Are they all the same? And they do come out, they're all, I mean, there's like, oh, maybe there's to be much time, but there's many people. But they all put the image. They all put the two on first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, we're not the only one, believe me. Yes. Yeah, huh?
So we have they should learn this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nom nom nom.
That was very good, Brad.
Contemplate, nom
Yeah.
nom nom.
Yeah. It is.
Big dream, so it's.
I
don't need to fight.
And hopefully that becomes like no one about it. Herb bread, herb and cheese, that's cool. And of course, mozzarella on something, so a little bit of rules. It becomes a skin, it's torn apart further. Okay.
Oh, well.
Crumbs. Yeah, well, you should have probably crumbs.
Yes, I will. Yeah.
Well, you didn't know.
Oh my gosh, you got a fish on this.
He's very picky.
Ah. Okay, I think once Barbara has bread, we can possibly have. Oh, okay.
Susie.
Once Susie has bread,
First
I-
and last.
I will gladly take.
Yes.
I will gladly take bread while there are questions going on, but you know,
So everyone has been properly breathing.
right?
Then we can fry them?
Yes.
Battered, not
Better,
breaded?
better to be breaded, or be better to be breaded than not.
Mm.
Wow.
I volunteer to be fried, but I have to wait until after I drive home.
Yeah, uh-huh.
But when you BT.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, I can get you a half cup of tea.
That was one right there.
Sorry, in fact, more than she wants.
Okay.
Brad is fantastic.
That's really good.
Recipe I found
I'll leave it.
online this morning. I can.
Nice. And you had all the ingredients you needed.
I did. Well, I make my own baking powder.
So, do you have any questions from online?
Oh.
Okay, let's do some of those first since they've probably been waiting. Okay. The Athena and Hestia both seem to indicate a focus on protecting and supporting communities during difficult times. This seems very relevant. How do you think their approaches would differ? What would be the most important things that we would be called to do? Hestia's mouth is more full than Athena's, so I'm going to hand it to Athena.
From our perspective, I think Athena is much more interested in the strategic deployment of power, of giving a lot of thought to, a lot of planning to what's going to be done, looking for leverage points. I'm obviously putting my language on this, but you do the most good. And I think Athena has an emphasis on calling people to step up, to if your heart is, look where you're hurting and look, what could I do? What can I do to make a difference? Very much calling each individual to their own best truth. Very important to Athena is the integrity of the individual, knowing who we are as individuals, and not ever going against that, your own internal core self. Do you have any?
Okay, Temple Hestia.
Hestia is, of course, all about hospitality and all about sanctuary. I can see Hestia being very pleased if we find some local groups that need our assistance, either financial or volunteer. I know quite a few of us volunteer already. And speaking personally, I always have people thank me for going to marches and protests. And I'm hard pressed not to reply, and what about you? I haven't said that, but boy, have I been tempted. There are so many places where time and money and boots on the ground can make a difference. Phone calling can make a huge difference. I think Hestia's main point is do something. Don't just gripe about it. Do something. I am making my 3 calls a day. I haven't been very good about that, but that's as part of my vow to Hestia. I'm going to be making my 3 calls a day. And hospitality, taking care of each other. If you see somebody who looks lonely or that you know is lonely, call them, email them, text them, make connections with people. Hestia would be the one who would think of something nice about somebody that they don't even know and say it. It's not necessarily big actions, but it's committing yourself to daily actions, changing your attitude so they're more inclusive. I think some of the biggest changes can happen with small actions, small, consistent actions.
Thank you, Temple Hestia. Questions from online? We do not. Okay, so Aurelia, you have a question.
I do. This question is for the Athena Temple. And or Team Athena, I should say. You talked about respecting the rule of law and the courts. the UK, if I'm, unless I missed my guess, the UK Supreme Court has ruled effectively that trans women are not women and are not permitted in female-only spaces. How do you, what would you have us do when the law and the courts are unjust?
Thank you.
The rule of law is a separate thing from actual laws written on paper. The rule of law stipulates a manner in which people live together in society. So I do not think that Athena would think that that was a very just law at all. Athena is about justice, and the courts providing justice, like the courts in America stopping a lot of the tariffs and the everything that the courts have put a stop to, that this administration is trying to do in our country. So I think when we say rule of law, though, we're not talking about the laws that are written down, because some of those are absolutely not just. And Athena would not be for an unjust law. But the rule of law, how we exist together in society, how we respect each other, how we live our lives without hurting anyone, is more of what the rule of law means. Is that what you would say?
I will add that I think Athena's guidance would be to put pressure on the pressure point. People made that law. People need to repeal that law because it is a bad law. And I'm certainly not going to sit here and say, as a human being, that civil disobedience is not a good tactic, or at least an effective tactic sometimes. But Athena's point of view would be, the problem here is the law's got to be changed. And Athena would guide people smarter than me to figure out, what do I say to my representative? Oh gosh, the names of politicians and the terms for politicians in England have slipped my brain, but the equivalent of congressperson.
Your MP.
Thank you. Your member of parliament. What do I know about my MP? How am I going to get to my MP and understand, and get him or her to understand what's at stake? That would be Athena's counsel, is people try to figure out the points of leverage that will bring to bear on the people who have the power to fix it. I'm certainly not going to say civil disobedience should be ruled out, but I think Athena would be all about, where can we put the pressure?
Could I answer that even though it wasn't addressed to me?
Yeah, please.
In Hestia's name, and I've already said this, if you need to go somewhere and you feel unsure, I will go with you. I'm all about social justice and the higher law. And the higher law is decency. And I have made this offer to other trans friends, and they know I mean it. It's a very personal approach, but that's what's needed. Us taking care of each other.
Thank you.
Would it also be appropriate to say that when you talk about the rule, talking about it applying to everybody? Okay, just checking.
Does that doesn't require anything? Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Any other questions from online?
I have one more for
Okay, hold on. First off, who was first over here? What?
you. Go ahead. You were first. Hey, take the mic.
Thanks. For the divine twins, since it seems to be a global archetype, I was wondering, like how it would sort of work, like how we would look at like it globally. Because you have like a lot of different people on your map.
Mhm.
I mean, on a practical level, as we would go through the year, I would expect ritual team member to say, well, what's going on, and is there one of these stories or one of these pairs that has guidance or might have guidance for this situation? And work from that. So one week it might be Castor and Pollux, and another week it might be focused more on Artemis and Apollo in terms of, what are their traits, or is this situation or this idea that we have, who's going to bring the most power, support, insight to that. And there's just really a wide variety, and these aren't all the twins.
No.
So that's how I would sort of picture it. In a way, it's sort of like we've done with the Fool, where the Fool's the patron, but we've been looking at the High Priestess, or we've looked at different cards in the tarot deck.
We've taken the Fool as a way to get through essentially the whole major arcana of the tarot.
Right. And I mean, I do think that there are pairs, twin pairs here that are in cultures that we haven't done rituals around before, and that it gives us a way to, I mean, we've been doing something more out of Hinduism, has been sometimes iffy, but okay, we've got the divine twins, and so we can take this aspect of it and in order to use as a setting, and probably not get into a way to avoid cultural appropriation. Does that answer your question?
Okay, who's next?
That pretty much answers my question.
Okay. So anything online? Anyone else from here? I mean, so I'm wondering what each of these temples want on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. What do you want Guy to do every time we meet? And I will take a hand as to who wants to go first. I mean, Hestia's kind of got it obvious, but okay.
I think I've already covered that, really. Any chance we have on a daily basis to be kinder, more inclusive, and to ourselves as well. I mean, we have to take care of ourselves. It's about changing a basic attitude, and that has to be done daily, because how do you change an attitude? You practice it.
So a lot of these twins have a connection with the sun and moon, or carrying the sun and moon across the sky. So I think, and they also, I have the sense that they tend to act boldly. And I think the twins would want us to get up every morning and try and go about our day boldly, and step step into it and take on tasks and challenges. Play the game kind of thing. There's really can be a lot there. And for Gaia Community, I would think that we would want to act in a similar way.
As far as weekly, of course, light a candle, invite Athena to, Athena is someone who would like to be there with the community. And then I think she would also not require, but she would appreciate an acknowledgement anytime anyone does something democratic, which is pretty much every day. Hopefully, you open the door for someone, or let somebody else go first, or you vote on something somewhere. Kids vote all the time in grade school, so just saying a little acknowledgement, going, "Oh, yeah, Athena, thank you."
I do think Athena would be a call for the ritualists to focus some rituals on deep self-reflection, that whole finding what you believe in, that's your thing that you believe in, and being able to understand it, articulate it, and then practice it so rituals to encourage individuals to do that work. Not necessarily, again, nobody has to worship Athena, but that is what I think she would think we should do.
Thank you. Any last questions? No chat online. Nothing. Okay, then. I think we've hit point today.
We want to check in with the kids.
Yes, yes, we do.
So, thanks, I'll be faster than I can.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did the children from the children's section get to vote too?
Oh, yes.
We at minimum. We do it on the we offered voting the time that we did the narrowing down process last year. I don't think it really was this year though.
Mm-hmm.
Because it did so long ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
way we do ranked choice voting is via our Discord and
Yeah, we do an online voting process. Sorry, can I have
the mic?
for folks? Thank you. So we do an online voting process. We put up a ranked choice ballot. You'll have about a week to put in your votes. And this is something that if the kids feel motivated to vote, like you can help them to do that. There's no reason at all why the kids shouldn't have a vote, right? So they're members, they're involved.
And it's not just members.
And it's not just members, anybody can vote.
They've been doing the work up there.
Yeah, they've been getting into all these deities and all that as well in their process. So yeah, they should definitely be able to vote if they want to. Anybody who is interested, anybody who is, has a care for who we are and what we do, has that opportunity to vote, and then we'll tally everything up and make it soon thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
And we do encourage the adults to watch the videos.
We do encourage the adults, if you haven't, all the candidates to watch the videos so that you can make a thoughtful choice.
Okay.
Do the kids want to show us what they need?
Guys, okay, I'm gonna hold it for you. Okay? All right, so now which goddess did you make? You want to turn around so they can see you?
I don't know who I made.
You don't know who you made?
I don't remember.
They're twins.
I made Artemis.
And what's she about? Remember?
The moon.
Yeah, what else?
Uh, Hunting.
And who's Artemis's twin?
Uh,
Tell her.
Apollo.
Right? What's Apollo about?
Uh, the sun.
What else?
Archery. And the arrows I forgot to put on.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah. There you go.
Very good.
Now you can say thank you if you're all done talking about it.
They can have tea and they can have some bread. You know, the bread's not wasted. Right?
They have snacks that are, we interrupted their snacks.
Okay.
Thanks, better off.
Oh, fair.
Okay. Well, I don't think now, actually, I don't think I need the mic anymore. So. And now, having spent time today in this temple of many powers, it is time to return to the world that we most often live in. So I ask you to return your attention to the flame of the chalice, that one bright point of light in the center of our circle or on your home altar. Allow that flame once again become the point of your awareness. Grow brighter in your mind's eye until you feel the temple fading around you. Until you lose sight of its wonders. Until there's just one dancing flame filling your mind's eye. Then, when you're ready, take a deep breath. Allow yourself to retreat from that flame. Let it dwindle back to its modest proportions. Slowly return to the everyday world. Stretch your body, wiggle your toes, and be present to our everyday world. You may journey again to this temple of many powers. That'll be a story for another day and another patron selection. Blessed be. What's next week
Next week.
during Pride?
Hey, I'm Mike.
We are just demanding. Okay.
So next week, Carrie and I are leading a class workshop on the 4 levels of reality, which is a concept that we got from the Diana's Grove Retreat Center some years ago. It's a way of like analyzing situations and looking at things that happen. And then we'll also use it to look at the images in the tarot. And it's a really good way to analyze tarot images. And I think through analyzing the images in the tarot, you can often then go back and see how you could analyze situations that you're in that might work the same way. So I would bring your tarot deck I guess we need to get a blurb out there because I don't think we've done that.
Yeah.
We're meeting tomorrow to talk about it. And you don't have to bring of decks here, but if you have a deck that you're working with, or maybe one that you're struggling with, images with, you want one which has images with people in it though, pretty much. I mean, something where you can try and determine if somebody's looks happy or sad or angry or kind of things like that, so that because that'll work better with the analysis process. Let's see, Pride is going on next weekend as well, and Gaia Community will be participating in staffing a booth with two other churches, also Unitarian Universalist churches. This church that we're in, Shawnee Mission UU Church, and then All Souls UU Church. They're having a float and they're having people walking. If you're interested and want to participate, there's probably still time to get involved. And I guess talk with me or talk with Barbara, and we'll put you in touch with Scott, who's coordinating everything.
It is the first of the month. When is Ritual Teams meeting?
It's the 5th.
On Thursday at 7 p.m. according to Karen.
Thank you, Karen. You are wonderful. Okay. Any other announcements? Anything else the next 2 weeks?
I was just wondering, what is the Ritual Teams?
Let's see. Ritual Teams meeting is well, okay.
7 p.m. online.
Right.
What-
No, what
what?
is it? Right.
Not
So
when, but what?
we are a lay-led congregation. The committee that puts on Sunday service is so if you are a ritualist, you are a member of Ritual Teams, and on sort of a rotating day towards the beginning of the month, we meet and discuss what our plans are for the next couple of months. We critique what we have previously done. It is actually open to the public, but it is on Zoom. So, you know, you can show up in your pajamas.
Not the vocal and grind your coffee beans.
Yeah. It is very much a business meeting, evaluate how we're doing, figure out what we're doing next type of meeting. So. Even you as a blue ribbon can tell you.
Right, and we have a process to become a ritualist at Gaia Community, and we're currently in the process of rewriting our class, with some hope that by fall we'll have that done, and we can start training up more new ritualists.
Yes.
So if that's something you're interested in, come talk to one of us.
That you see presenting is on the rituals.
Show up a couple of times and get see what we do on ritual on other rituals besides this, because this is kind of our different than normal style. Not that we we kind of have a normal style, but it's normally in a circle and we're doing stuff together. We're not sitting here watching people do things.
Yes.
Most of the time. Right. We're
It's
that
the
type.
exception that proves the rule.
Right. English language. This is the exception that proves the rule. So. Okay. Good. Hey. Okay. We've gone through announcements. We have full. You've been wonderful this year. And while you're not leaving yet, we thank you for leading us on this path, this wonderful foolishness that we have enjoyed. Hail and well met fool.
Hail,
well
met fool.
And now, if you would form the sacred amoeba, you do not have to hold hands, but you know, see you met.
I guess.
Yeah.
All right, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the thing that was really unusual was
a bunch of chairs in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reach out to our online people.
We love you.
Okay, short form call and response. This circle is open, but unbroken.
This is where we're open, but I'm broken.
May the peace of the goddess go on our hearts,
May the peace of the gods go on our house.
and the dance of the god enliven our days.
And the dance of the gods enliven our days.
May we care for the earth and each other,
And we care for the earth and each other.
because our lives depend on it.
Because our lives depend on it.
And all together.
Merry,
Merry, merry hearts, and merry meeting again.